I love how Frank looks like an Arasta in his picture.
Oh, hello and welcome to Rebel Republic on 97.9 Unity Radio. You're either with us or you're against us. And with me as always, well, first, I'm Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. With me as always, the coach, David Schuman. Coach, great to see you.
It's good to see you.
It's been so long, it's been so long since I've seen you. And then on the bottom, for the first time being away from me, Mr. Frank Cristiano. Frank?
It feels liberating, like I'm free balling.
Oh, you're free balling. Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
Yep.
I if that's how we're starting the show off, we're starting off hot. I like it.
Starting
hot.
I like free balling. I like it big time.
Do you see my favorite?
There she is.
There she
is. Not she. I can't say she. There it is.
There it is.
God.
And she wants to talk to you. She's specifically talking to you here, Steve, just in case she wanted to say she has some important things to say.
I need the city to protect me because the federal government won't. And if you think you're afraid of Trump, you should see how afraid of Trump I am.
Can you wrap, please?
Yes, I can.
Worcester.
If you say that you're afraid of Trump and that's why you don't want the city to be a safe space for trans people, you better prepare for trans people to make this a very unsafe space.
I'm shaking right now. I don't want to be here.
Please.
I'm sorry. Am I taking too long pleading for my life?
You remembered how many children I have and that 2 of them are trans.
I speak as both the B and the T in the LGBT.
Is that bi?
I'm multiply disabled. I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, which is a connective tissue disorder that causes me immense physical pain.
I feel bad for about that.
Spectrum, and I have narcolepsy, and I couldn't drive myself here, so I had to hide from my driver that I was in drag, which is not an easy thing to do in drag.
I do not want to be here. It's my day off. I do not want to be in your DMs. I do not want to be in your email inboxes. I do not want my creativity writing diss tracks like Kendrick. I don't want to spend an hour applying glitter on my face so that you will hear and see me. I want you to listen to me.
Let us remember that the Nazis burned the books that the Nazis burned books on gender sciences first. Now the administration has villainized and marginalized migrant workers, trans, LGBT.
You can't even say it.
This guy's a spokesman for the community.
Can you look at me and tell me how many of my friends need to die before you do anything?
Please wrap up.
Look at me.
Please wrap it up, lady, sir, madam.
Well done. Come on.
Of course, we need to continue celebrating Black History Month because in spite of what's coming down from Washington, we all know that we all exist and we all need to be recognized for our existence.
But be aware that you are a guest in my house when you come. And when you come, know that there are strong queer and trans people in my classroom who will collect you with the quickness.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight.
Hello, Dee Dee Delight.
My name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
Hello, Dewey.
Laddie LaRouge, he, they,
LaRouge.
in drag District 3.
My legal name is Olivia D'Ambrosio. My public name is Libby Scanlon. My wife and I own a home in the Canal District.
I speak as someone who is always misgendered, like all
I
the
think
time.
I know this guy.
People refer to me as sir when I prefer to be referred to as ma'am.
Oh, well,
I
whatever
speak
you
as
want.
someone who is afraid to use public toilets.
Don't be afraid.
I speak as someone who is a member of this community and is a queer person.
You have to
stand still.
Being me and my wife, fearing that our marriage rights will be stripped away at any moment.
Please, I only have so much time. Please, Joe's going to cut me off.
Which matters more?
covering the legal fees of systemic police brutality or protecting the lives of queer people in our community. How many lives have to be lost before you consider fighting back against fascism and corruption?
Now is the time to say that if federal money relies on the dehumanization of trans people, that we don't want your goddamn money.
I get that some of you care more about easy funding than trans lives and don't mind Nazis for whatever reason, but
Nazism.
Normally, I would say good evening, but through the chair, I will only impart my sour grapes.
It's an extremely emotional and taxing thing to stand up here as someone as part of the trans and gender diverse community.
My name is Katie. I'm from District 5, and I'm of agenda items 10B and 14B. Right now in our country, Trump is threatening the trans and gender diverse community.
Noticing people are trying to.
This was the saddest part of all of it. A 7-year-old they brought in there. This is sad.
They weaponized the 7-year-old.
A 7-year-old.
Safe, and everybody needs to feel safe. I've lived here for 4 years, and there hasn't really been any changes in how people feel safe.
It's child abuse.
My birthday is this Saturday, and all I want is peace and for you to vote yes. Please don't let me down for my birthday. There's a lot of queer people that I love. And to Candy Carlson, you should know to never call someone I'm 7. I know better. The kids are watching, and we're ready to vote you out.
Oh my gosh.
I got a message to Murray. Oh my God.
That is what we call.
Well, that's Worcester.
Craziness.
Yeah. Wow. So
now I know why I've never met Ernie.
What are they voting on?
Now we know why we've never met Ernie. I look like an Oompa Loompa with my hair right now. Oompa Loompa. Oompa-dee-doo.
What? I don't understand. I'm very confused. What are they voting on? Like why did everyone come to this?
They were approaching the town or the city board meeting, saying that there has not been anything done to further enhance protection for the LGBT community in Worcester. They feel unsafe.
Sanctuary city. It's a
Mass is the most liberal.
They approved it to be a sanctuary city for trans and LGBTQ.
Well, Mass is the most liberal state in the country.
Right.
We had several males playing on field hockey teams, and I don't know if you saw the video. It was this past year or 2 years ago, where a male field hockey player fired a shot and shattered a girl's jaw on the other team. It was one of the most brutal things I've ever seen in my life, because in Massachusetts, if you identify as a male or if you identify as a female and you're a male, you can play. And I think also because there's no male field hockey, they allow men to play on the female teams. And
I just want to know, what's the safety issue? Where are they feeling threatened besides what they hear on TV that may make them feel insecure about themselves? There's no laws out there where they're rounding up the LGBT community. They're not taking away any of their rights as human beings or citizens. Now, if they want to be referred to in a third party, fourth party gender or different pronouns, that's a little different, because you're asking a normal person in this country to go step out of their realm and try to figure out what you're thinking you are. That's a totally different agenda. But what are they being threatened by? I don't understand what the threatening is happening. There's no one here, no one in this administration. Yes, have they taken away or curbed DEI in general? Yes, they have. But that's just diversity, equity, and inclusion in maybe the workforce. And still, you have to go through an application process in the workforce, so they want it to be by merit. But bottom line, what are they being threatened by? That's what the mental state of many people in this country. I cannot figure out. Well, I know all because I'm white. Doesn't matter. I know. Listen. I watch a ton of social media. I watch a ton of influencers. I watch a ton of minority influencers, and they talk about this as well. That they can't understand the mental state of this country, how weak we are.
It's like what Mike said before on Moneyline. He said if you wanted to complain, the time was several months ago, and it didn't happen.
Right.
If you wanted to go complain, you should have went out and voted.
Right.
And
They got to stop watching CNN
That would-
and MSNBC and gathering these nonsensical.
They control the narrative. Yes.
What they're not going to be able to do anymore is to go into a space and monopolize spaces of regular people and disrupt their lives. They don't get to disrupt other people's lives because they want us to acknowledge who they are. You don't have a right to do that. You don't have a right to disrupt other people's lives because you want us to acknowledge who you are.
Well,
You can be whatever the fuck you want. I don't care who you are. You can be a pig if you want to be a pig. You can be a TV, a couch, an iPhone. I don't give a shit what you identify as, okay?
Right.
All right? I'll treat you, as long as you're nice to me, I'll be nice to you. But the second you force what you want me to view you as what should be the doctrine because you see it that way, that's when we have a problem. Get off my lawn with your nonsense, okay? You want to do it on your lawn? Fine. I see you on the street. You're nice to me. I'm nice to you. I have no problem. You know, we have no problems, okay? But it's when you try to infringe.
It's
for me to think the way that you think. That's not going to happen.
No, that's propaganda that's being forced.
Yes, you want me to believe the propaganda you believe. Listen, I'm not telling you not to believe your propaganda.
Exactly.
I disagree with it, okay? But I'm not telling you not to believe what you want to believe whatever the hell you want to believe.
But I don't understand what they were voting on. Were they just going there complaining that as trans they don't
wanted
feel
it to be a
safe?
trans to be a sanctuary city for trans people.
Sanctuary city.
Yeah, so like you know how sanctuary cities for illegals.
Yeah.
They wanted it to take a step further that you could not. I don't know what. They're referring to Nazi. The Trump administration going in and persecuting in some way or shape or form trans and LGBTQ. And by the way, what the Worcester was like.
Well, they're saying danger. Like
they said, we'll be a sanctuary city. I mean, what does that even mean? There's
what does that mean?
It means if you're in New York and you're being persecuted, you load up the car with all the trans people that are being persecuted, and you're like, where do we go? We drive to Worcester, Mass. It's a trans sanctuary city.
You could do that anyway. Like, it doesn't need to be a trans sanctuary city. You could load up your car and go to Worcester.
Yeah, but if you're trans, you want to go there because they want to make it a sanctuary city.
Because
you can't touch. You can't. You can't. You can't.
Hands off the trans. Is that what you mean? Like you can't do anything to them?
You can't do anything to them.
Popular.
They accept
Massachusetts. It's so popular.
Well, no, I mean, like, what other rights do you get by being in a sanctuary city? Like, I know
the federal government can't go in there.
I know they can't deport you.
There are no rights. Okay, the truth is there is no such thing because ICE wants to go and round up the illegals in a sanctuary city. The only thing the sanctuary city does is that they're not going to tell you where those people are.
Yes, they're not allowed to give away rights.
That's it.
They're not allowed to tell you.
They're not going to tell you where they are. ICE finds out where they are. They're going to round up the illegal immigrants and out of the country. The only thing that sanctuary city does is us as government officials, we are not going to give away who these people are. And
no one's going and rounding up trans people and trying to move them out of
Trump has made the law now. I think he just signed it. He signed another executive order today. He is renaming ICE LICE. So it will be the LGBTQ Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency. And LICE will have the power to go into Worcester and round up a lot of the trans people.
Oh, he's joking, right?
No, he just signed it today.
He's joking. But listen,
Oh my God.
Steve,
Well,
Steve,
they're worried about
Steve, the
safety.
people are going to go to town council because of you. As soon as there are any places, they're going to be going to the town council meeting.
Well, the town council meeting in Worcester are a shit show anyway. Believe me.
Hey, everybody, run! It's lice. Lice is coming after us.
Well, how long did this go on for? Roughly, was this like hours?
I think it was hours. Yes, I think it was hours.
So that many people showed up, and you get what, 5 minutes to speak?
I have no idea.
Sure.
So I could do this in Hartford,
maybe
right?
2 minutes.
Because my father hates going to these town council meetings.
I just can't believe that General Zod is no longer on what's the planet?
Krypton.
No,
Are you talking Star Trek? Oh,
no,
you're
talking Superman.
Okay.
Give me the General Zod is no longer on Krypton.
Krypton, right? Yeah, he beamed down. He's in Worcester, Mass. He put a blue wig on.
So I was the guy with the black outfit and the earrings.
That's right. The black earrings.
Eyeshadow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
weren't they alarmed that General Zod was there? I mean, I saw the movie. Did they not see the movie?
It's all inclusive. It is all inclusive. It is all inclusive.
So I just want to know. So can I do this? Can I go to a New Hartford Town Council meeting and say that I feel unsafe?
Sure you can.
I'm doing that.
You'll get laughed out of the meeting, but yeah, go ahead.
Frank, you drive me to the next New Hartford Town Council meeting.
I'll drop you right off. No problem.
Please. I have to do this. I didn't know they let anyone talk.
Yeah, you can go up there and talk about anything. I mean, there's an agenda. There's an agenda, but there's open forum time. Sure.
Yeah, we got to do this. The sole purpose is just to irritate my dad. So whenever the next one is,
get up there and talk. Talk about your inflammation. Just talk about your inflammation. That's all.
So the other big news that I actually heard about was that place the group you're talking about, Doge. It said it found nearly $4.7 trillion in untraceable, nearly untraceable budget line item responsible for $4.7 trillion in payments.
So basically, the Federal Reserve was paying out payments along. I don't know how many years the 4.7 trillion goes back to, but bottom line, you're supposed to have item line notes.
It was
so it's like writing a checkout at the bottom of the note. You're going to put groceries or whatever, car repair. Well, they just put nothing.
They put nothing. They left it all blank.
Right. So, I mean, bottom line, these payments could go anywhere and then be laundered and filtered down to other businesses and skim through the system, and you'll never find it again. So, you got to realize
how is this done without anyone noticing?
Because the government's too big. See, here's what bothers me. I said I have these people online, the friends and community. They're like, well, why would Trump fire 12 oversight committee people that look at the budgets and look at the spending in each of these departments, and then bring in Elon Musk with a bunch of kids and start breaking it down? Well, the reason you fire the people in the oversight department is that they're not overseeing anything. They're letting billions, if not trillions of dollars through each of these made up organizations. I mean, I'm sure there's good intent in some of these in the beginning, and then they were just pirated. But bottom line, the money that's being doled out and not counted for in all these departments is unfathomable. It's crazy
that nobody would notice that much money missing, and it's going to groups that don't exist.
Because the check just goes year after year to where it's got to go, and it gets approved in the budget. Remember,
they rubber stamp it.
Well, the whole thing is, I don't think any of the assistants or interns that these politicians have and use look at anything in the budget. Because if it says $700 million to U.S. aid, all right, great. Let's budget that money, but where's it going to? It should be an item breakdown of where it's going to. And that's where they're not doing their due diligence when they pass budgets every year, because why do you think the budgets are 1,500 pages long? They make it that long because it's impossible to read through and to actually figure out where money's going to. And they do that on purpose because everybody's in on the take. All these politicians are in on the take. They're all getting kickback money channeled through a third source back into their funds and back into their accounts.
Even the Republicans.
Everybody. There's no listen. There are very few that have their hands clean. Very few. And the thing is that it's money that they appropriate, and they know is going to come back to them as lobbyists or as companies or as NGOs, whatever they call them. The money is going to come back to their funds. There's no other way to explain how some of these politicians, even after 2 or 3 years in Congress, are worth $9, $12, $15, $20 million now, when they were worth pittance coming into the job.
And they don't get paid that much.
No, and there's no way you can make it up an investment that much. Unless you're an investment guru like Nancy Pelosi, then it'd be very hard to be able to make those kind of funds. And that's the one thing that Doge is exposing now across all fronts. And I'm sure even Elon Musk apologized too. He said, some of these things, I know we're going to get wrong. I know we're not going to be totally correct in what we're putting out there, but we're putting everything out there. We are accountable for everything that we find. And they're putting it out there. And if you are upset, if you are upset because those numbers are out there and those figures are out there, then bottom line, you're getting something on the take. You don't want those numbers out. And that's what's going on right now.
And is that what contributes to the inflation that everyone complains about?
Well, no, I mean, of course, with a higher and higher national debt that we have every year, our dollar is worth less and less. We have less buying power with it. Okay, it's not strong. It is actually strong compared to a lot of the other monetary funds around the world. But bottom line, it's not strong for us right now. So as we trim the budget, listen, let's say they can trim $2 trillion off the budget this year. Okay. Now, granted, they said that there's some expenditures or tax breaks, or maybe that'll rebalance it back out. But let's say we even get to maybe $1 trillion saved. With $1 trillion saved off the budget in continuous motion year after year after year, you can eat away at a $36 trillion budget. But when you're spending more than what you're taking in, you're always going to be in a huge deficit. So listen, this had to happen. A house cleaning had to happen. I feel bad for some of the people that are losing their jobs because, bottom line,
they were take the fall. Yeah,
they were just doing their job. They were hired for a job, and it's probably a cushy government job, and they were getting paid very well for it. But bottom line is, they're going to be part of the axing of these departments and budgets, and it has to happen. It has to happen. This country has to go and clean house and restart again. It have to.
Dave, the discovery was announced on the same day that Doge appeared to have found savings, which as of Monday night, tonight, a total estimated savings since the establishment of the department is $55 billion. So I know that pales in comparison to the $4.7 trillion that was unaccounted for, but at least they're getting to the bottom of some of this and doing their job. But $4.7 trillion goes unaccounted for, and they discover this. I mean, I am just, my head is spinning trying to think about how that happened.
What's the question?
Your thoughts on Doge finding?
I think Doge is fantastic.
Finding $4.7 trillion in unaccounted for money. How could this have happened? And how do we fix it? And where do we go from here?
He already is fixing it. He's going to cut it.
The $55 billion that we ended up saving. So you're telling me Doge didn't exist until Trump just put it in?
Correct.
No. Okay. And their job is to investigate all the money that's been spent and doled out to different organizations.
Government efficiency. Government efficiency.
That's what it stands for.
And here's what has been proven. You can't trust the government regulators to produce efficient numbers.
No,
that's all.
No,
that's
you
all.
Can't. You can't.
That's all.
And Dave, it also says that 14 states are actually suing the federal government or the Treasury because they don't want to disclose the finances that Doge is looking at. So what do you think of that? Attorney generals from 14 states are suing to block Doge.
Well, they can't win at the federal level because the conservatives control Supreme Court. So let's put it like this: they might get an injunction within their state to block some of these things, but eventually, if it goes to Supreme Court, they will lose. The other thing is that Doge is cutting out. So, like, my thing is this: if we're cutting all this stuff out, then are we going to work to what our founders originally intended America to be, which was no federal taxation?
Exactly. Yeah, it was state by state. That's what they.
If we're going to cut it out, that's great. Okay. What is my benefit? What is the benefit to the people? Okay, correct. So that's what I want to know. I want to know if we're cutting this, are my taxes going to be cut? Or is there a percentage that's going to get cut off of our taxes? And it's great, that they're cutting all these different things that are unnecessary.
But it has to affect you personally.
Affect the American people. Now, there may be a part of it to getting to, I don't know. The last time there was a balanced budget was Eisenhower. So, I don't think that's a realistic thing. But,
it's a start.
Continue to cut our taxes.
Yeah.
Cut as much as you want in the federal government that is not necessary. And cut our taxes. We don't want to pay federal taxes.
Right.
Okay. None of our now listen, there's a certain part of obviously money that has
Is that what FICA is?
Federal income.
Oh, okay. That's what FICA stands for. Okay. Just making sure. I didn't know.
But yeah, so I mean, I think that's a big part of it, and I think that there's multiple steps to this process. But obviously the first step is cutting out unnecessary things, which is good. I think it's important for Elon to continue and with Trump to assess what things are necessary versus what things that aren't. But I think a lot of these things were undercover for covert operations. Meaning, do I really believe in Afghanistan that we were trying to take $10 million or $20 million and trying to help the LBGT community in Afghanistan where there is no LBGTQ community?
There is no, Dave, there is in the cemetery.
Yeah.
If you go visit any cemetery, you can find them.
That's correct. They're in the cemetery. So as soon as they come out, they're thrown off the roof and there is no more. So the $20 million that is being spent there, who is that actually going to?
Who is it going to? Right. So that's why that's why you're saying they're basically laundering money.
They're laundering money for different people that they have to take care of. I don't know what they're doing it for. There could be a variety of different reasons. There could be covert operations. There could be somebody they're paying off to do something the way that they wanted to get it to be done. There could be a lot of different reasons. Okay. But yeah, I don't believe that they're trying to help the LGBTQ community in Afghanistan.
No,
I don't believe that. Okay.
No.
Now there may be in some of these programs that are cut that are kind of unnecessary. Maybe they were doing some things for those communities. Okay, I just don't think it's necessary out of the federal government.
Frank read off the list of some of those programs.
Yeah, some of them are ridiculous, but I believe this. You don't know which program is legit, which one isn't. Okay. You don't know which one is doing, and some of these crazy, weird programs might actually be doing what they're the crazy program that it is. It might actually be doing
even if it's something that's not needed.
Listen, the mafia taught us that to take money, to take money, you have to have a legitimate front.
Right,
but then afterwards, the money that comes into the front can be skimmed and go wherever you want it to go. That's all. And that's what's happening here. I saw there was I don't know if it was CBS News or ABC, where some of the money from U.S. aid was going to help clear landmines in Cambodia. And now they can't do it anymore. They're running out of money. Well, you have to realize something. We were part of that. We were part of that. We were part of that Asian conflict in Vietnam. Vietnam, it's bled through into Cambodia. So
50 years ago.
And there's still tons of landmines around there, and there's a lot of Cambodians walking around with one leg. So the job was, let's go clear it out. That's fine. But now they're saying, well, we won't have the money, but China has pledged $4 million to, well, let China go clear out some of the landmines. They were part of the problem as well. So it's things where money's well intended. Money's probably overspent. I mean, $4 million that was going every year to clear out landmines, and they've been doing it for I don't know how many years now. So the intention is good. I think the idea is good, but the money's being filtered down. There's no way you need $4 million to run a project to have 2 or 3 people walk around landmine detectors and blow them up. I mean, to me, it doesn't make any sense. A lot of it is being filtered through companies. A lot of it is being stolen. A lot of it is going to things that we just don't need to support anymore. Bottom line, we got to take care of our internal house first. We've got to be able to control our spending. We've got to cut that spending down. I think once you see, is it going to happen right away? Will they ever take away federal taxes? I don't think so, Dave. They're not going to do it because it's just such a money source for them. Why they don't want to give up money streams. They don't, and legal money streams. Although it is illegal, basically you don't have to pay your taxes if you don't want to. But the legal streams, they're not going to give anything else like that up. Will we see a reduction in taxes? Most likely we will. Will some of that be because of the budget passed this year? Most likely that will be why we see a little reduction in taxes. But overall, through the next period of 4 years, we should see a reduction in the deficit in this country. We should see, hopefully, I would love to see a balanced budget. I don't think that's going to happen, but even if we get close to it, we're at least going in the right direction as a society. Right now we're just so far off in thinking. Half of the country is first of all, half of the country hates Trump. So whoever Trump appointed, they hate them, and whoever those people got appointed, they're doing the wrong thing. They've barely been in office 3 weeks. 2 weeks, some have been in less than 1 week, RFK, and all they're totally one. I saw one post on Facebook from a friend of mine, and they were talking about an outbreak of measles. We got an outbreak of measles here in the U.S., down in Texas, and the true reason is that it's like the Amish. It's a religious community. They don't believe in vaccines. They don't believe in shots, and now they've come out with a measles outbreak there in their community. So it's posted, got the measles outbreak. Boy, we sure voted for the wrong person, because look who we put into Health and Human Services. The guy ain't even in there 3 days. Yes, he questions vaccines, but is he going to remove vaccines? Probably not. No, you can't do that. But you got to understand something. We're dealing with 47% of the country that hates one guy, and hates him to the infinite amount of hate that you could find. Okay, because he's been built up as Adolf Hitler. All right,
pretty much.
53% of the country is all for him, is all for what's going on now in government as far as finding out information. Let's just put it this way. If Doge wasn't out there, would we have ever found out any of these numbers? Never. Because there's not enough whistleblowers in the government to be able to pull these numbers out to let us know what's really going on.
So, Dave, had Biden won the election, Doge would not exist, and this $47 trillion would still be unaccounted for, and we'd still be spending it, essentially.
Yes.
Wow. Okay. Good. So
4.7 trillion, not 47 trillion.
4.7.
Right. No, you're crazy.
Thank you. Yes.
No, it's only trillions.
the other news that I came across was the NATO Secretary General, Mark Rutte, I believe, said that European countries in our military alliance have agreed to step up their defense spending in the wake of President Trump's request that they increase the number to 5%. Because right now, I didn't even know this, we are spending $700 billion more than any of the European side of NATO than before President Trump came into office, and it's not enough. And we're going to do more, but we need them to do more. So, who actually consists of NATO, and why aren't they contributing to this defense? Frank?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was to Dave. No, listen. NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization. Yeah. Bottom line, it's all of Western Europe. A few Eastern Europe countries.
Is Italy?
And I'm sorry.
Italy? Is Italy in there?
Italy's in the United Nations. So,
okay.
and there are other nations scattered too that are in there. Don't get me wrong. Right. But what they're worried about is that Trump basically said to them in a one way or another, buck up some money, or we're not going to be able to protect you.
Right.
Because so now Europe, Macron held a emergency meeting to talk about Trump's policy and Trump's rhetoric and what he's saying and how he's acting. And they're trying to figure out how they're going to defend themselves. So, who in NATO is going to say, I think you leave the defense of NATO up to France because their war record is impeccable as far as winning wars. So bottom line, they should run the whole NATO organization. We should just step away for a little while and see how they like it.
Or France doesn't like wars. Like they don't.
Or buck up the money. Greece loves olive oil. Bottom line, you've got to know that it's a different policy now. There is a different man in charge, and what he is saying is making sense. Do you know right now? Okay, so in Germany, especially, but in Germany, they police all social media activity.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. So it's illegal to put up posters or illegal to advertise or illegal to say anything racist or anything that would be like a KKK or a Nazi. It's illegal to. But you used to be able to go online, and I'm not saying that this is good to do or not, but it's freedom of speech.
They do that here too, though.
No. You can post stuff.
You get reported on Twitter, and they'll ban you or block you.
They'll ban you from Twitter. They won't send the police to your home, bust down your doors, and arrest you.
No, you're right. You're right. No,
but that's what they do in Germany. So bottom line, freedom of speech is being taken away. Yes. Okay, it's being monitored and taken away. So that's where J.D. Vance went over there and made a speech and talked about this as being a very harmful weapon used against your society when you can't defend your society and be able to encompass your society together as one, and you're segregating sections of it, then that is where the danger of breakdown comes as far as a democratic state. So I think what you're seeing right now is the United Nations are scrambling. They're trying to figure out what course they need to take, but that they're going to fall in line and follow the suggestions of the president of this country. This country, unfortunately, to people that don't like it or don't, we run the world.
We do.
We run the world as far as policy. Okay. Yes. Now, China and Russia may try to step in on that and create their own policy, but unfortunately, the majority of the world does not fall in line with China or Russia because they know what they're getting with communism. So we run the world. I love these little videos that are on social media where a woman goes, "Oh, I know I gotta leave this country. I gotta go to somewhere. There's tons of places that are better, like Finland and Sweden and Bottom line, there's no country like this country where the opportunities are available, and the lifestyles are available. If people put their nose to the grindstone, most people can make it in this country.
Absolutely.
Okay? So this is the greatest country on earth. For people to shit on it, that's not the right direction they should be thinking. But they're being brainwashed by, again, media, right? The social media in general, what do they call it? Legacy media? I mean, it's horrible. It's horrible how we talk bad about this country, but they're still living here. They're still earning a living here, so that's got to change. Hopefully, again, this step, along with many others, this United Nations step will fall into line. They will pay their share. We'll pay a little less. That goes to the budget. Here we are reducing our budget again.
Dave. Hi, Dave. JD Vance, he attended the Munich Security Conference in Germany last week, where he criticized European allies for adopting a, quote, Soviet-style approach to censorship. The threat that I worry about the most is vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia. It's not China. It's not any other external actor, he said. What I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its fundamental values shared with the United States of America. And he was praised for this, demonstrating some American leadership and nationalism. What are your thoughts on the censorship that's going on in Europe, especially Germany, apparently?
So obviously the genesis originally of the censorship aspect goes back to Nazi Germany.
Absolutely.
Right. So the bottom line is this: if you censor people, unnecessarily and punitively for speaking however they speak versus policing actions, which is an important thing, you get into a rabbit hole of what is the right speech and what isn't. And that's how you actually had Nazi Germany come in, meaning Nazis came into power because you had to think one way, and if you thought a different way, you were killed. So that's the danger of censoring speech, because in the wrong hands of people, it becomes a situation where that is used against political opponents. It's used against people that they don't want in the country, so on and so on and so forth. The key aspect of it is, there has to be a difference between people allowing the ability for them to speak their mind, whether it's good or bad, versus the actions and behaviors, which can be, you can put somebody in jail for, meaning somebody goes and commits a crime or harms somebody in the name of this thing that they hate about them. That's where the criminal acts is where you put people in prison for. It reminds me of that movie. Did you ever see the movie Minority Report?
Of course.
Where they're trying to predict what people are thinking, and that they're going to predict crime by what goes on in people's thoughts, and so on and so forth. I thought it was a great movie. It wasn't as well done as it could have been done, but the concept of the movie, I'm sure if I read the book, I would enjoy it, but I didn't read the book. I just watched the movie. And the premise of it is somebody's thoughts and even feelings about a situation does it become action? Well, the answer is no. It does not necessarily become action. Okay.
No.
If it becomes action, that's when you do hopefully prevent it, but you obviously punish if there is. But that's the whole danger in trying to be preemptive in certain things, is in the long run, in the wrong hands, you could preemptively say anybody is doing something wrong and put them in jail for that. And that's how you do get the next issue, the next Holocaust, the next concentration camp. That's the issue with those things. So though we don't like certain speech, though we don't like certain things that people say, putting them in jail for it is not the answer. The answer
Imagine if we had that policy here. What if we had that policy in the States here, Dave? ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, they would all be in jail because they were calling Hitler Trump.
Yeah.
Trump Hitler, right? They were associating Hitler with Trump. So that's a racist sort of angle speech. Our police would have been in there and arrested all of them. You would have no legacy media.
They unfairly covered Trump throughout the entire election, even before it started and everything.
Right. You could target your political opponents. That's the problem with all of this. You could target people you don't like. Let's take presidency out of it. You're the mayor of a town.
Right.
Okay. And I'm the mayor of this town here. And in order to keep everybody in the town under control, if I deem someone who might want to take my power away, I put him in jail. Hate speech. I put him in jail. You know, he said something mean to his neighbor on social media. He cursed at him. I mean, it's funny, but it's true. It's listen. That's what makes I hate going this whole kind of like circle on this. That's what makes it so crazy when trans people say you need to call me this and you need to call me. I don't need to call you shit. I can call you whatever the fuck I want to call you. You don't have to like it.
Yeah.
No one's saying you have to like it.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But I can call you whatever the hell I want to call you. And you can call me, in all fairness, whatever you want to call me.
It's the First Amendment, right? Freedom of speech.
Yeah. It doesn't mean we have to like it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can say whatever you want.
That's the whole part of, like, when people call other people fascist, they're the fascists. They're the ones trying to impose what they think should happen. I call it false morality. Okay? False morality is I believe that what I do is moral, okay? Correct. And right. And if anyone doesn't believe in my moral values, then they should be punished. Okay, it's false morality. It's saying I'm more. I have the moral high ground, and because you don't have the moral high ground, you should be in jail.
Yes,
that is crazy.
You're evil.
Talk.
You're a demon.
And people are like, "Oh, that's not like a lot of people." And most of it's on the left. It could be on the far right, but anyone who talks that way, it's like it's complete crazy talk. Like nobody has control of any other person. They have the rights to be able to think and feel however they want to feel. I don't have to agree with it, but you can't impose it on another person.
Right. And Frank, wouldn't you agree with this? Like in the last 4 to 8 years, I would say our people have lost independent thought to think for themselves, creativity.
I think they've lost their minds.
Yeah.
It's not creativity. They've lost their minds.
Yes.
Because social media legacy media and social media have fed them a narrative, and it all depends what narrative you want to fall into. So it's either your conviction or how you were raised, or what you see you can align closest to that puts you in one camp or another. The problem is we don't have enough people in the camp of the middle. Right. We have too many people that are on the far left now and too many people that are on the far right.
Right.
And those have been built up over time in this country. They've been built up over time because of the failures, of administration after administration to make this country user-friendly to the average American citizen. What I mean by that is, yes, it's a great country, but there are still problems with income, inflation, healthcare, living arrangements. Those things now within the last 8, 12, 16 years have sort of exploded onto the scene as insurmountable mountains for people to climb. They just can't get over it. They can't get over the hump. And so when you are dissatisfied as a human, you will stray to one side or the other, depending again on what your core moral beliefs are. Okay. So
louder voices sometimes.
Right. Yeah. You may follow a voice if you don't, some people just listen to one person.
Yeah.
Whether it's a legacy media, social media, whatever. I watch everything.
What's
I watch everything because I'm trying. ABC, NBC, CBS.
Oh, the networks. Okay.
Right. Networks like Legacy Media, New Journal, New York Times, New York, Washington Post.
Okay.
Things like that. But bottom line, too many people. But
what's the difference between Legacy Media and the other media outlets? For
Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Yes.
Those are not strictly media outlets, but they're social media places like Breitbart, Axios.
Right.
These are the new ones, right? So I just think that we've lost our minds as a society. Every little thing now itches our ass.
Well, we take it personal.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. There's no sensibility. Do people really think? Okay, so Trump in his campaign promise said he's going to lower the price of food. He's going to lower eggs, lower gas, lower milk. You're going to bet better. Do people really think that he's going to walk in and do an executive order or day one and say all egg prices are going to be $2 for a dozen?
Yeah,
it doesn't work that way. No. But give him the 6 months to a year. And let's see where inflation ends up, right? And then you can start to talk about if it's, if that was a right move or not, being able to give them support for that, if that's what you were supporting for. But people see the idiots on the far left and far right take everything literal.
Yes.
They take everything literal. When you take something literal, you have no breathing room to actually make something happen. So I'm sort of disgusted at the way people look at things right now, because they're not looking at them as rational human beings. You got to look at things as a rational human being. Things take time. Things will develop. Hey, listen, this Doge thing is going to be going on for months. It's not going to happen in a couple of days.
No.
And then there's going to be meetings, and there's going to be lawsuits, and there's going to be justices involved, and there's going to be Congress involved. There's going to be a lot of shit's going to happen because of all this exposed money that's floating around that nobody can account for.
Yeah.
So that's going to take time. Everything needs time. We are only 1 month into this administration. Okay. So we need to slow it down a little bit and realize where we are, how long it's going to take to at least write the course.
Dave, do you think at any point in the next 4 years that Trump will find a way to actually unite this country? Will people ever get on the same page in the United States of America?
No.
It's never gonna happen.
No.
Were we ever on the same page?
Well, I think that's one of you don't want everybody on the same page all the time. I think that's important.
Only in times of war.
Exactly.
Right. Times of war, you do.
And Vietnam being the one exception that no, we weren't.
It didn't bring us together, right? That's true. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's no chance of the country coming together and people just thinking rationally, having independent thought, and realizing, wow, we're fucked.
I watched a video the other day online, and the woman taking the video was saying, I think my neighbor really wants to take my Trump sign down. She's got a Trump sign on her lawn. And the neighbor's on the opposite side of the street walking her dog and looking at the woman filming her. The woman filming her is singing the national anthem, right? Right, to the woman across the street. And this woman across the street is probably in her 30s. The woman across the street just has the middle finger up. And she's just walking her dog, giving the lady her middle finger. There's no peace that's ever happening between those two people.
Right.
That's it.
No, that's it. Well, the last thing I wanted to bring up was former president candidate Kamala Harris was mocked over her word salad speech. Basically during This Is a Wonderful Life, A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong musical at a Broadway show over the weekend. And it was pretty hilarious. I was curious if you read about this, if you heard about this. She delivered a nonsensical word salad. Dave, she delivered a nonsensical word salad during an attempt to deliver an inspirational message to the cast of Broadway's A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong musical.
I did not see it. No,
I saw it.
So what basically happened?
So she got up there, they asked her a general question, and she went on and just spoke for 3 or 4 minutes, rambling on like she always does.
Yes.
Everything's a generality. Everything is it could have been, or what could be, or how this is how we become stronger as a people. Should be our goal. It was just, if you stepped in the middle of that, it would have been like you were listening to Chinese. The thing is this, the point should be made on this. If anyone ever says, and they do say it online, I see it all the time, that we would be better off if Kamala Harris was elected president instead of Donald Trump at this point in time, they are insane. Though I would gladly let the German police storm down to your house and arrest you immediately, because those are harmful words. Those are hurtful words, because bottom line, we would have been in such a bad situation, both economically and both foreign policy, internal policy, border security. The list would go on and on and on as to how bad a shape we would be in if Kamala Harris was currently the president of this country.
Oh, she never would have had a plan. She would have never been able to handle anything.
It would have been like the last 2 or 3 years of the Biden administration, where basically they told him, go in a corner, suck your thumb. We're going to make up the policies for you.
Really? That bad?
Oh yeah. That's what happened, especially in the last few months of this administration, of Biden's administration.
When she was running the show, basically.
The wife and the son were running the show. It was basically, listen, Joe, here's an ice cream cone. Go take a walk out into the woods, and we'll see you in a few hours. That's it.
And if we actually had her running this country for the next 4 years, Doge would have never been created. The $4.7 trillion never would have been accounted for. None of these changes would be happening. And
Social Security, you wouldn't see any kind of reform or any kind of numbers come out in Social Security. And there's I think it was was it 3.1? I don't know if it was billion or trillion in fraud in Social Security right now, with people having 2 Social Security numbers. So they're getting extra payments in Social Security, because currently there are more Social Security numbers out there than we have residents in this country. So Social Security fraud, Federal Reserve payments going out to who knows who, and 100% approved. Who gets that's like saying I'm the owner of a bank, and you know what? No matter what your credit line is, we are going to approve your loan 100%. Right? Right. The Federal Reserve, the U.S. aid, foreign aid going all over the place that we can't track, we can't trace, we can't find out the exact benefits of where it's going to. You're going to have a Department of Defense audit, and we're going to find some of those $8,000 hammers. You know, there's going to be a ton of them. Right now, what they're finding out is that money taking out of military paychecks week to week is supposed to go to feeding them. If you don't know this or not, you would think that the military would feed their troops for free.
Yeah.
They don't. So they collect money. They collect X amount of dollars a week out of their check. It goes into a fund that allows them to supposedly buy the best food for the military across the country. Then they started opening up books, and there were 2 bases, one being Fort Drum, which is only an hour and a half away from where we are.
From us, yeah.
Up in Watertown. Fort Drum was taking in, I think, $12 million in payments out of the checks of military on that base, but only putting $3.7 million of that towards the food fund. Where's the rest of that money going? So there's fraud internally in the Defense Department. There's fraud in Treasury. There's fraud in Social Security. Any government program or government-run institution has massive amounts of fraud going through this country, and that's what needs to be reeled in. And it's going to happen. You're looking at a president that is going to get shit done, and not just he's not just showing up to the the Daytona 500, right, and leading the pack for a lap, and not doing anything else like Joe Biden would. right?
Right.
He's actually doing that. He's up all night, and during the day, he does all his policies. So this guy is hard at work. Some of these things are going to take time to smooth out, but we're going to see a proper direction going in this country. Take immigration. Immigration. They had, I think, 120 accounted for crossings that they put last week instead of the 8,000 a week that they were having before. I mean, that's insanity? How much the just by mentioning his name and getting officers and troops down to the border, look what they've done with immigration so far in this country to be able to curtail it to a point where it's not relevant even at this point. It can be done.
He says what he means and means what he says and does what he says. Dave, I'll give you the last word. I just had asked Frank, what would this country be like right now if Kamala was actually president?
A disaster.
Would anything be going on? Would she be trying to find out, where we're spending the money? Would she be putting these policies into place? It would just be business as usual.
Yeah, you know what she would have? Kamala was in charge. Her
the borders are.
Yes, it would be called an ode to Neiman Marcus. They would just spend.
That's all they do.
That would be the name of her agency, and it'd be, who could we spend on? Oh,
TBQ in Afghanistan.
Let's give $20 million to Afghanistan for LGBTQ dogs. I mean, that's
where we'd be.
And then another 10 million to Sudan for transgender sports, and then another 15 million to Kazakhstan for research into American football and whether it should be played there.
Hey, you didn't, Dave. You didn't hear about the $12 million that went to Kenya for their long distance runner shoes.
Oh,
we don't wear shoes though, sir.
Exactly.
No, please take it. Take the money.
Oh, wow.
We win Olympic medals without shoes. No, please take it. Please.
Insanity. It's insanity. It's so sad to look at. I mean, I want somebody to trace some of these illegal payments back to who the money's going to. I want just one politician's name. I want just one guy out there. I want him to get nailed right to the cross. And like they did with Menendez there, they found the gold bars in his refrigerator or freezer, and they nailed him. And that's what they got to do to all these scumbags. They're dirty, filthy scumbags. They all mean well. They all meant well when they got in, and but they're corrupt to the teeth. To the teeth.
That's what Washington does to you.
My favorite capitalist of all time in sports was, and he was part of the communist system, was the pole vaulter Sergei Bubka. Sergei Bubka was?
Yep.
So Sergei Bubka was the greatest pole vaulter, and I think it was the 80s. It probably finished up in the late 90s, maybe. But he was a long, long career. He's by now the best pole vaulter is he's from Sweden, but he's half American.
Yeah. I see him. He's good. Yep.
Yeah. They're mostly Americans from free countries. Anyway, Sergei Bubka figured out. They said they would give him. He would get like $50,000 every time he broke the world record. So what Sergei Bubka did was he would break the record by the smallest human amount possible.
So he could break it again.
Every single meet. So he would go and he
just
knew
a hair.
Yes, he would go a centimeter.
That's a capitalist. Capitalist in a communist society.
That's right.
That's
amazing. That was a capitalist. I think there was a point where they got annoyed with him or something that he was like, or it may have made the communist. That might have been when everything broke apart from communism in the late 80s, or when he no longer had to do that. But it was that's what he was doing to make his family wealthy.
Smart.
Smart guy. So, there's he maneuvered the system in this capitalistic fashion as he could. But yeah, no, I think Elon is onto the right thing. I think Trump is onto the right thing. I think a lot of the people that he's appointed, Tulsi Gabbard got through, Kennedy got through, I don't know how you say it, Hegseth got through.
Hegseth. Hey, the one on the line right now that they're just dragging their feet on is Kash Patel. So, and they're scared shitless because he will go in there and rip the FBI apart. Now you will find out how weaponized the FBI was against any conservative political candidate. Yes. Yep.
Wow.
Right, and he'll get approved. They're just going to drag him because there's really, as long as the Republicans stay aligned, they're going to get approved.
That's right.
And as long as there's not some crazy baggage underneath him, that he'll be approved. The only reason why the one guy had to drop out was just that baggage. It was just too much.
Yeah.
Gates, I think it was.
Yeah, Matt Gates.
Yeah, Matt Gates. But if it wasn't for that baggage that he had, he would have been approved. But he made the right move by he pulling himself out because it wasn't worthwhile, because it would have affected the rest of the people who were trying to get pushed through. So. He did the right move there.
Best interest of the country.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, if he went through those, I have to say, if he was going through the whole thing, he probably would have had a big problem anyway. So, but yeah, I think overall it's moving in the right direction. I can't believe how fast they're moving. I think that's a great thing. And, I think overall you got a situation where the left doesn't know what to do. They're so discombobulated as a unit. The Democrat Party is a mess. Like, what they're did you see today in New York City, because Mayor Adams is not going to go against Trump, and they kind of have the agreement. Four of the people on his staff or his cabinet or whatever resigned.
Yeah, half of his undersecretaries resigned.
They cut you a break, Mayor Adams. As long as he sticks, he could end up having to resign too because of some issues. But they're doing you a favor, and I think that's the thing that they're old samurai soldiers in Korean or would commit suicide rather than
they die by the sword.
Yes, that's what it seems like the Democrats are willing to do.
Yeah. Well, I think in New York City, what you'll see next is Governor Hochul will remove Eric Adams as mayor of New York City. That is within her power. Yep. So, and then there'll be a legal battle on that, but I think they want that because they want to drag it out because they don't want any assistance from the mayor with ICE, because they've already set up a station on Rikers Island now for ICE.
Are we a sanctuary state?
What's that?
Are we a sanctuary state?
New York City? New York City is.
New York City, but as a state, are we?
No, no. There are no sanctuary states.
Cities. There's cities. Albany might be a sanctuary city.
Oh, okay. I thought there were states. Okay.
So, Albany might be a sanctuary city.
Albany might. But yeah, but I think you're going to see that legal battle come next.
I'm sure Saratoga Springs is. Even though I love Saratoga Springs, but I'm sure it's sanctuary city.
Is Utica?
I would say no.
Oh, okay.
No,
I don't know.
We do house a lot of immigrants.
Yes,
but,
we do.
No, we don't. I don't think we're a sanctuary city. I don't think anybody wants to come here. That's why we're not a sanctuary city.
No, we're the only city in the country's history to decrease in population by like half since the 50s. So, but
could be.
No, it's
true.
Is
that true?
It's true. Yes.
Yay for us! Hooray for us!
The top of the mountain for Utica was in like the 20s, and our population.
Was there factories here or something back in the day?
A lot of factories.
Yeah.
What kind of factories?
Manufacturing. A lot of manufacturing. Some food, but a lot of manufacturing.
But
one by one, all the way up until the late 80s, we lost all of them.
Why did so Rochester, Buffalo, your area, probably Syracuse? Why did all those areas lose all the, why did those companies all leave? It was taxes, like Xerox and
Xerox couldn't make it. That my sister-in-law actually worked for Xerox, and then Heidelberg, which is a subsidiary of them, she worked for 20 some odd years. Xerox didn't catch up with the times as far as automation. So obviously they developed a way to do film. That was their big legacy coming in. And then they developed the cameras. Right. So, but then they didn't progress fast enough to fall in line with automation and technology. It put them behind, so their sales decreased. Then they tried to branch off and make different sections of Xerox to sort of produce just individual things that may sell better. But they're still it's an impossible battle for them to catch up. Well, they've divested a little too, so they're not completely doing what they've done over the past 70, 80 years.
Griffiths Air Force Base too shutting down. That was a big deal, right?
Well, that was the government. That was a federal mandate right there where we shut down. I forget, it was 18 or 20 bases around the country, maybe a little more. One by one, they deemed which bases are necessary and not necessary. So when Griffiths shut down, I mean, we lost a population base in the tens of thousands, easily. But the base has done a very nice job at reorganizing themselves and turning themselves into a technology base. So they've actually brought in a lot of different companies that work in the technology field, especially cybersecurity, and they base them out of Griffiths Air Base right now. So they've done a decent, over the last 30 years, a decent job at reinventing themselves in a way.
Yeah, you've tried. All right. Well, another banner Rebel Republic on the books. Got a lot.
Hey, Steve, I just want to say, Ernie, I apologize that you had to wait in such a long line at the City Hall meeting the other night in Worcester, Mass. I know you were trying to get your input in on the entire safety issue of the community in Worcester, Mass, and the sanctuary city policy. But I don't worry. I know there are upcoming meetings right there, and I do have some pull in Worcester because Steve knows a few people on the board of Chamber of Commerce, right?
Yes, Tim Murray.
And we can get you in first or second in line, I'm sure, to put up those complaints that you need to do. Just trying to help.
Right before General Zod.
We'll get Tim Murray in right on. All right, guys, great job for the voice of reason, Frank Cristiano, the coach, David Schuman, Steve Cully, the best podcast host in the universe. This has been Rebel Republic on 97.9 Unity Radio. When life gives you lemons, don't make